Another episode here downtown Houston in Hotel Alessandra with the Houston skyline behind me. I am joined by, never before tried this, but we have 16,000 guests on this episode. And let's see how it goes. I would say their names, but it would take us a while. I will put them in the post when this goes up. But they are a group of women that have been participating in WHTT's Women in Hospitality and Travel Technology, a platform for professional growth dedicated to women. And they've been weeks of a series called Revenue Hacks. So I thought what we would do is just kind of do some of the highlights of your episodes. You did have an episode not too long ago, basic sales activity. So my question is, with reduced staff, how are hotels going to manage sales?
I think, if you're selling a room, even over the phone, you are a seller, you are the salesperson for the property. And I think people need to now more than ever rely on their teams to know all the information correctly and have the best available rates in-house and on your website to be able to promote it direct. But also there's a lot of people that are revenue managers or hotel managers that are back working. They're the people that can actually touch point with all these travel operators and corporate clients who are suffering. Just to kind of say, hey, don't forget about me. I'm here. We have rooms available and we can't wait to see you. These are our new secure measures and we will see you soon. Distribution,
Connectivity systems, which we could talk about for hours, I'm sure, but and it's always a point of contention. It's a trouble spot in a lot of hotels because the different systems aren't well integrated. But maybe there's a short list of must-haves regarding connectivity. Anyone?
Channel manager. Every time. You need a channel manager. If you don't have a channel manager, how can you distribute? Full stop.
So I'd like to see far more open connectivity APIs that connect a hotel to whatever they want to connect with. So they can basically create a virtual online representation of the customer journey to their customers at any one time, and it's just not available to us. It's shocking.
All right. So how about forecasting and budgeting? Forecasting has got to be the number one challenge of a revenue manager, right? I mean, how do they forecast amid a pandemic? So what can they realistically do?
You have to look each day at the little green shoots of demand that are coming through. You have to be crystal clear on what your pricing strategy actually is. Make sure that it's on those distribution platforms and that people can easily book. And then when you see the demand coming through, watch it closely. Make sure that you're making hay whilst the sun shines. If the demand starts to spike, be in the position where you can start to flex and push that rate, not to the detriment of occupancy. You need bums in beds. So when you're zero-based forecasting, you have to look at it each day, and then each week by segment. I also look at distribution channels so that I can see exactly where all the business is coming through. And I often look at the origin of the business. If we are running a campaign or there's a big paid digital campaign going out, I want to track that all the way through to conversion and the PMS.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have to side with Suzanne on that. And also, you need to explore the market segments properly. You need to drill into your data correctly, because the data that you have now is not the same data you had this time last year or even last week. So you need to know for sure where everything is coming from. You can't say that all your business is leisure transient. We do understand that the majority of it will be, but using leisure transient for a market segment for absolutely everything that's coming in at the moment is a lie.
Top 10 tips on the CRM, CRS, PMS, RMS. Another one that we could spend probably a couple of days talking about. Top 10. I don't know if you remember this episode, but give me a couple.
I think making sure that your rates are mapped to everything is like 101. 101, right. Making sure all the rates are mapped and connected to absolutely everything. The last thing you want is having a rate out there that just falls in as a HP, which is a default rate into the system, because then you'll never find out where it's come from.
Clean your profiles. Profile cleaning has to be up there in the top 3. Get your profile data in order, deduplicate, make sure it's complete and you've got high level of data integrity so that you can use it to market?
I think, yeah, from a forecasting perspective, typically, or certainly from an RMS perspective, the hotels really need to get themselves some level of automation. Trying to deal with an Excel spreadsheet to work from a zero base at the moment is really, really challenging. It's just not a feasible tool to use in today's age. I think there are also lots of the market offers many different types of RMS at the moment. So it's not necessarily, if you're a smaller hotel, you don't necessarily have to just think that it's not available to me because of, or an RMS isn't available to me because I'm maybe either too expensive or just possibly doing too much for what you need as a smaller hotel. I think there's lots and lots of different ones on the market now. The opportunity to actually get automation is huge. So that to me would be like number one, is just get your processes and for forecasting and the dashboard available to you to be able to visualize the data far more easily. It avoids mistakes, and it also means that you can actually start from a more confident view of exactly what's happening within the market as well.
Okay.
I think the setup needs to be quite logical, quite simple. So there needs to be quite, logic behind what you're doing. So if you do any setup, sometimes less is more. Just make it clear, make it kind of easy to understand, and be quite flexible. So hopefully the system, there is enough flexibility to make, little adjustments, because the market is there is so many unknown, there's so many changes. It's good to have flexibility to go up, down, whatever you need to make changes.
Yeah. Okay. Pricing. We don't want to drop our prices, but how should we handle pricing?
Build a strategy, build it, look further in advance and build your strategy again logically without dropping the rates closer to arrival. It needs to be great strategy, rather than yielding backwards. It's logical. Use this as analysis. That's my top tips.
Don't be chasing your next door neighbor, and think in the psychological way of a guest. If I drop £4 or €4 or $4, will that guest really come and stay with me? Am I value for money?
Yeah, I think also to add to that, I think that now is the time to really understand exactly the value proposition of the property. So it can disappear very quickly when you're being chased as a revenue manager to put more revenue into the business. I mean, obviously I
think you have to be really crystal clear that you're not selling a commodity, you're selling an experience, and communicate that experience clearly with value, and communicate with your audience. Understand where that demand is coming from and amplify it. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, communicate. All right, so we've got about a minute and a half, and what I think would be nice is if you guys had any advice for hoteliers. It's rough out there, but anyone, just throw it out.
So much that you could see.
Create a seamless customer journey. Think about, from a customer perspective, walk their shoes, or in their shoes.
Yeah, I echo that. I mean, from Olga's point of view, I think we need to be super careful that there are clients out there or guests out there that really are unsure about traveling. The consequences of traveling are so uncertain at the moment. The last thing a customer needs is for hotels to disappoint them or let them down in terms of pricing or actually the customer experience right now.
I have to agree with everyone here. Flexibility is also key. You need to understand that if green lists change or flights change, that the customer won't be able to travel to you, especially with quarantine rules. So you need to be flexible and don't panic, because when hoteliers panic, they make knee-jerk reactions. We all do it. It's in our bones. It's in a human to do that. That can lead to massive drastic drops in pricing and also drops in standard.
Do not cut your marketing spend. Just use it wisely by communicating with your revenue manager. So spend the money, but spend it wisely, target correctly. Don't cut your marketing spend.
Okay, good advice. Thank you, ladies, for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.